All right, so hopefully you don't need this video, but I am here to help walk you through how to do some of those things that we talked about in the first session, which is set up your first class, assign an activity to that class, and then also some of those tools and features that you have within the teacher dashboard that are super helpful. So to start with, how do you set up a class? You will want that for organizational purposes. Once you've logged into the teacher.desmos.com page, this is what that main screen looks like. And so you're going to head over on this left-hand side to Manage Classes. And from the Manage Classes screen, you can add a new class. So that's easy, just click the button. You'll notice that there are a couple different types of classes you can add. So one is Google Classroom, and that's where it's going to import something that you already have in Google Classroom. I would imagine that most of you are going to be doing that. So if I click on it, you'll see all of the Google Classroom pages that I have set up. You might have to say something like, allow Desmos to log into your Google account first, but once you do that, it'll look like this. And you can just click on any one of the Google Classroom pages that you have and import it. The cool thing is any co-teacher that you have on Google Classroom will automatically already be your co-teacher on Desmos. And so I'm just going to do one so that we see it. So let's do that one, add one class, and then now you see it pops up. Now, there's another kind of class that you can add, and that is a class that's just within Desmos. You probably don't want to do that, but if you're using a different learning management system than Google Classroom, you might use this. I also end up using it a lot when I'm doing demos in classrooms because of how Google works with things. So if you want to have one just within Desmos, you go over here and you're gonna just type in your class name. So I'm just gonna call it demo class, add it, and then you can still have co-teachers within a Desmos class, and here it is just by, here it is, these three dots. You could always go back and edit or deactivate when the year ends, but I'm gonna add co-teachers here. So I just type in, search that email, so I'm adding Dwayne right now, add, and hey, I have another co-teacher I want to share it with. So Amber, I'm going to add her in, and it's as easy as that. And now both of them will automatically see my demo class as a teacher in their teacher page under Manage Classes. So from there, now I need to assign an activity to this class. So I'm going to go find something that I love. We're talking about polygraphs today, so I'm going to go find a polygraph. Yeah, let's just do this one. Now to assign it, you'll see, oh, I already have assigned it before. Below, it does show you a preview of like the times that you've assigned it in the past. There are a couple options. So you can either assign it to your classes. So that's again, either your Google Classroom or the Desmos class. And you would just click that button to do that. And if you want a single session code, if it's just like quick, fast, you're gonna share it over chat or you're gonna share it with maybe some colleagues to try it out and see what that's like together, you could do a single session code. That's a little bit easier there, and all you do is share the code out. For your classes, you're going to click what you want, and then you also have some preferences when it comes to Google Classroom. So if you don't want it to post immediately, which means that kids could access it like on Sunday night before you go to teach it on Monday, you would want to not have it say post immediately. If you're totally fine with it, you can leave it like that. You can post as a draft, so you'd have to go back into Google Classroom and then actually push it out to the kids when you're ready. And I don't know why you would do this, but okay, if you want to, sure. And then the same with the Desmos class. So either you post it immediately or you don't, and it'll just be when I share that code with the kids when I'm ready to. So anyway, where do we go? I went back to classes. I'm going to go back to the polygraph. And I want to, there it is. I want to share it with my class. There's my demo class. And I just click assign. It already knows my preferences, so I can just click assign, and you'll see that it's here. Now, In Google Classroom, if you do it that way, it's nice and easy. It's already sitting in your Google Classroom ready, waiting for you, either as a draft or already pushed out to the kiddos. So you don't have to do anything in Desmos. If you have it as just a Desmos class, kids can see it as soon as they log on if you have that setting selected, or if you want to push it out live to them, you've got to do it from the polygraph page that you chose, and then you go to these three dots, and here's my student link. So what this is essentially just what you clicked on today earlier when you jumped into our polygraph activity. But this is the link that will get that student code, or not even code, but student page where you can log right into it. So that is assigning. And then from there, I was just gonna talk a little bit about what that teacher dashboard looks like. So some of the things that we talked about in this session is that you have a teacher dashboard on the activity. You would get to it by clicking View Dashboard. So this is a different one, of course, and the polygraph looks a little different, but you get to it the same way. So it looks like this. The main page is always going to be on the summary. So summary is right up here, and it looks like this. You have an overview of your students. Now, normally you would see names. I just did fake students, so that's why it's A, B, C, D, E, and so on. But let's say I wanted to share my screen sometimes, and I didn't want my students, data to be exposed, or maybe you just, I don't know, don't want to share it. So you click anonymize, and it'll give for you some random names. They're not exactly random, you'll notice. Pythagoras. You'll find mathematicians of present day and past as their anonymized names. So now we can talk about Pythagoras and Pythagoras's work without necessarily calling out a specific student. So this is the summary page. These gray boxes, that means that the student did not ever go to that page. The dots mean that they did and they interacted with it, but it's not something that the computer can grade as it's set up or as it's being asked. So we'll see that the student did some work, they did some grouping, but there was no answer key, so the computer didn't grade it. You'll see check marks and X's if there is an auto grading feature. Be aware that there are some other pages up here. So there's a teacher page that gives you an overview of each student. It might look like this, where we see all the student answers and one for just the second screen. And then there's a student page, which gives you the blank version of what the kids see. So you can always see exactly what the kids see if they need your support. So you can go to page 1 and say, oh guys, you have to make sure that the cards click down. So it has to highlight blue for it to actually stick together. I'm going to go back to summary and real quickly. So that was anonymized. That changes their names so that you can make them visible or not, just back and forth. Pacing is also a feature that we love and used, and that is when you want to restrict them to certain screens, or you want to have them follow along with you just on a single screen. So when you click the pacing button, it'll kind of help support you with which one do you want to start on. So I'm going to start on screen 1, and maybe I just want to do the first 2, and I'm going to say, okay, restrict to those screens. Now, if I later decided I want to also have it on 3, then I can just click plus and it'll move it over one more slide for each time that I'm ready to move on. Edit lets me change it completely. Maybe I just need everybody to be on slide 2. Some were drifting off, and so and others were, they weren't advancing, and others were way ahead. So I want them just on slide 2, along with me. We need to fix slide 2, have a conversation about it, that kind of thing. I'm going to restrict to slide 2. And so now every kiddo will pop up and they will only be on slide 2. In fact, you'll even see this blue box around it to see that the kid, that kid B, we'll call him or her, will be on this screen when you do that. Now, it's really nice that you can control what screens they see, whether it's, a subset of the whole presentation or it's a specific slide. And I'm going to remove that now. But sometimes you just want to get their attention and stop them and make sure that they can't move on. And so when you want to do that, that's the pause button. And so here we've paused it. And then what happens on the student screen when it's paused, it doesn't look like this. It kind of gives you a little message that says, that it's paused, and you have to wait until your teacher unpauses it. Now, I forget to unpause it all the time, but your kids will let you know when you've done that. So this just toggles it on and off, and it's blue when it is not paused. And those are the little features that we've talked about today. You'll see more when it comes to some other features like snapshot and some of these others in the future.